While some people are out in Congress arguing about how bad the orange guy is, uh, there's some good work out there being done by whoever can. Uh, this was an article back in July. This isn't the one I wanted to talk about, but it's relevant. Thousands of prisoners released as new reform effort takes effect. Uh, Nearly 3,100 federal inmates will walk out of prison on Friday as a provision of sweeping criminal justice reform act passed by Congress takes effect. The mass release, the largest since the First Step Act, was signed into law, a rare bipartisan push last year, applies mostly to drug offenders and inmates serving sentences for weapon charges. It was initiated by recalculation of the number of days inmates accrue for each year of good behavior, and it was applied retroactively under the new law. This is a it was a good law that passed, and I was very happy about it. The more people we can get out of federal prison for things like drug charges that aren't like distribution uh, or smuggling is a good thing. Um, those we can talk about what should be punished and what shouldn't. But light possession charges, even of hard drugs, I'm not sure should be put you in federal prison for long amounts of time. We can argue about hard drugs, uh, things like meth, PCP, bath salts, stuff like that. Is like, ugh, I don't know if we should be going whole hog. I'm the kind of guy. I'm very libertarian. A lot of this stuff. You should be able to decide what you put in your body, whether it's weed or even harder stuff like cocaine. Like that's on you, man. But when it's things like meth and PCP and stuff can affect other people, and they are very detrimental to the society in general when they start growing. So I'm not sure endorsing it. I'm not saying endorsing, but allowing it to sale openly uh, is a very good idea. We can, and that's one of those things where I am not very strict one way or the other on these kind of drug laws. I can be swayed one way or the other. I'm willing to hear the argument for either way, but I lean more towards deregulation, and especially on things like weed, to get these people out of jail. That you shouldn't be in jail for anything like that. Anyway, that leads me to the article I actually wanted to talk about. Hundreds of Oklahoma inmates to be freed, the largest mass release in U.S. history. More than 400 inmates in Oklahoma will be released Monday after a law signed this year retroactively reduced the sentences for individuals who committed low-level crimes. The Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board approved the commutation of 462 inmates unanimously on Friday. Governor Kevin Stitt's office has processed the recommendations for a final approval. It's the largest mass commutation or reduction of sentencing in the U.S. Since Barack Obama released 330 federal prisoners on his last day in office. In 2016, referendums passed in Oklahoma made simple drug possession a misdemeanor instead of a felony, as I think it should be, and raised the threshold of felony property crimes, including theft, vandalism, shopping, and robbery, up to $1,000. Earlier this year, Stitt, a Republican, signed a law that would apply these changes retroactively for current inmates. With the whole vandalism, I can understand, but things like theft, shoplifting, robbery, what you place the dollar charges on this kind of stuff where it's really kind of arbitrary. Um, as long as there's not a violent crime, I'm not sure these people should even be in prison. For things like theft, shoplifting, and robbery, or I actually, excuse me, I don't want to include robbery in it. For theft and shoplifting, I think you should be putting these people through a lot of counseling, re-education type things, making them go to classes, prohibition, or sorry, prohibition, probation would go a much longer way than locking them up for a long time. Maybe short stints would be fine, but I don't think putting them in jail for long amounts of time helps them at all. So in the end, this is a good thing. We can decide on the dollar amount and what that is later. But overall, I like this change. This event is another mark on our historic timeline as we move the needle in criminal justice reform, and my administration remains committed to working with Oklahomans to pursue bold change that will offer our fellow citizens a second chance while also keeping our community streets safe. Stitt said in a statement on Friday, the board considered 814 eligible cases and 527 recommended for a lesser penalty. Given the severity of these crimes, 65 of those individuals are still held on detainers. With this vote, we're fulfilling the will of the Oklahomans, said Stephen Bickley, the executive director of the Pardon and Parole Board. However, from day one, the goal of this project has been and more than just release of low-level nonviolent offenders, but the successful reentries of the individual back into society. Oklahoma will save nearly $12 million by releasing these low-level offenders as opposed to keeping them incarcerated. And this is a very good point. When you lock these people up for even a short amount of time, if you cut someone off of their job because of, say, like they had possession of a little bit of weed, or they shoplifted some Pop-Tarts or something, when you put these people in jail, it can literally ruin their lives because of a dumb mistake. Or I'm not trying to make excuses for somebody who's shoplifting, but maybe they're struggling. Maybe they've got like a mental problems, depression. Maybe they're literally starving. You ruin these lives when you put them in jail. So you have to be worried that you're only hurting your society and the rest of your community when you lock them up for extended periods of time. Yes, they should be punished. Yes, they should be forced to go through courses. Some kind of misdemeanor program, I think, would be best for these people. But locking them up, making sure they can't go back to work, or at least lose their current job, possibly making them lose their house because of it, things like that. Most of these people can't afford bail. A lot of times, people who are doing these shoplifting normally don't have a lot of money, so you're ruining their lives. And I think this goes a long way, because if you're not gonna successfully put them back into society by expunging everything off their record or paying for them to get back going, I mean, you're only hurting your community. And this is I wanted to make this video because this is a fun discussion on not only is this a good thing, that I think all lower level crimes, like in terms of drug related, like weed and stuff like that, these shouldn't be putting people in prison at all. But it goes into deeper, not only the private prison system, but how much it hurts your community to lock these people up and then crap them back out to where they can't be productive members of society, or you've ruined part of their life and they don't want to be. They feel like they get depressed and they feel like they can't. They can't get a real job because they've got a record now, especially a or a felony record or something like that. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. You guys put in the comments what you think, and I will discuss with you guys, because I think this is one of the more interesting articles, short and sweet, and but very thought provoking, I think, on this time. Try and be that sometimes. All right.